The Atlanta Dream are awfully glad Jordin Canada is here. We're awfully glad too. Jordin joining us, talking about life in Atlanta and everything that is to come. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Very pleasant good afternoon to you and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal, and I want to thank you for showing up for us. Over 200,000 of you in August alone, listening the way we show up for you 6 days a week. And of course, it is not just me, it is the entire team across the board over at The nexthoops.com, where we have over 100 reported pieces every month on women's basketball covering the past, present, and future of the game. Sign up over at thenexthoops.com. Get it all in your email box. And for $9 a month or $72 a year, support the journalists who are doing this work. We have writers on each of the 12 WNBA teams. We have writers across the board. We've got two actually covering the Atlanta Dream. We do a wonderful job, Wilton Jackson and Hunter Cruz. And they have covered a team that this year is at the periphery of the playoff race right now. I am joined by Jordin Canada for not the first time and not the second time to talk all about it. And Jordin, welcome to the show. I want to just frame things for people to understand the value, which we've talked about this. I did WNBA offseason shows talking about how big a deal it was that you were coming. So I just want to throw a stat out there. If you break down lineups, you go to stats.wnba.com. You guys can do it too. And you look at, all right, the best 5-person lineups, minimum 200 minutes by net rating. You've got New York's group of 5 with Sloot, Lainey Hamilton, Stewie, JJ, Sabrina. That's number 1. You've got the starting 5 in Minnesota. And then third, and not a distant third, Tina, Alicia, you, Ryan, Naz, Hillman. That is the level of team that we're seeing when you guys are whole. So as you battle for that playoff spot, people need to understand you're in a different place than Chicago. You're in a different place than Washington. This is a team that is built to win in a lot of different ways. So for you, somebody who's as competitive as anyone I know, just take me through that challenge of playing with this team and overcoming an injury to get back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult. I came in after the Olympic break, so I missed more than half of the first half of the season. So it's kind of hard with, trying to come in to a new system, new team, trying to figure things out. And then honestly, we haven't been healthy all season as a unit, as a full team. We still haven't played one game with our full roster. So that just says a lot about, the adversity that we've had this season. But even with that, we still have a chance to make playoffs. And that's just a testament to us and, us working hard the second half of the season, getting some much needed wins and understanding that, we're fighting for our lives. We're fighting for our playoff lives. And so every day we take that into account and just trying to focus one game at a time to make sure that we're doing everything possible to make sure we get that last spot.
Obviously, a lot didn't go according to plan, but some of the things clearly have, right? And so, for instance, bringing in Tina Charles after a year away from the league, we've seen Tina really blossom, especially since your return. I just, wonder what it's like, to be playing with the number 2 all-time scorer in the history of the league and just what that feels like as a point guard, knowing how many different ways she can score the ball.
Yeah, I love playing with TC. We call her the OG just because, she's been around this game for so long, has done great things, breaking records with Atlanta and in the league. It's just easy to play with a post player like that can get buckets at any time. And just her veteranship, her leadership on and off the court, talking to us at halftime, during timeouts, the end of games, just always encouraging us to, look forward and move forward and, just try to be the best teammate that we can be. She has been the epitome of what a great teammate is. She's very selfless. She wants to get other people involved as well, but understanding at the same time, we know we need her to be a bucket getter. We need her to be a scorer, and she does all those things for us. So I love playing with TC. It's been great. And, hopefully, she still has a couple more years in her and hopefully it's still with Atlanta.
She's certainly capable. Obviously, she's playing at a level. You look at her efficiency; it is as high as the Tina Charles I had the privilege of covering in the mid 2010s back in New York. And so, seeing her continue to thrive again, I don't mean to put too fine a point on it. Goes back to having you in the driver's seat. And so, again, when we go back and we look at the numbers, you are at your career high in assist percentage this season. You obviously have found a comfort level being able to run that offense. And again, this Atlanta Dream offense with you on the floor is as good as any offensive unit in the WNBA, but just as important in my view, and I would imagine in yours as well, as somebody who's had the honor of covering you dating back to UCLA days, is the thing you wrote on July 31st on Twitter. And Twitter is not always a great place to be, but in this case it was. And that is, you said, enjoying being where my feet are in every respect. Take me through what that feels like day to day for someone who's had to fight for her spot in this league.
Oh man, I'm trying not to get emotional. It's been a tough, 7 years. I mean, obviously I've had great years of winning championships with Seattle. I've had some, downsides of having struggle years. My first year in LA, and just, throughout my career within itself, having to battle, being in a starting lineup, out of a starting lineup, and just trying to figure out my role, and also trying to grow in my role, and then trying to better myself as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think, last year was just the stepping stone of me stepping into, who I want to be as a player, and then off the court as well, stepping into who I want to be off the court as well, in terms of things that I'm passionate about. And I think coming to Atlanta, it's just been a full circle moment for me, just being, valued and appreciated, being here. Just the organization has welcomed me with open arms. My teammates have welcomed me with open arms. The fan base, just the city of Atlanta, it's just been a very great experience for me, top to bottom. And, I'm enjoying trying to be where my feet are, even though I didn't come into the season ready to play and ready to go. I was still enjoying being where I was just because of the environment that I was in. And, that's not to knock any other team that I've played for. All those organizations have been great. I just think for me, mentally and physically and emotionally, I'm just at a different space, and I feel like I'm in a good spot. And so I'm just trying to enjoy being where I am, and especially being out the first half of season and now coming in, I'm just trying to enjoy the moment and embrace the moment, and not think about the past, think about what's coming, in the future, just trying to stay where I am at.
I do think we should probably clear up the Twitter rumor that you had arm amputated. Was that what was going around for a while?
Yeah, everybody always has their speculations, but now I can talk about it now. So yeah, I winded up coming back from Australia. A few days later, I was washing a glass and it broke. And it winded up cutting a nerve and 2 tendons in my pinky, in my right hand. So I had to get surgery for the tendon, and had to heal up. And that takes about 3 months to fully heal. So that's why I missed the first half of season. It was a freak accident, but no, my arm was not amputated.
We're grateful.
Intact, yes.
And by the way, I'm going to say it because you didn't. Coming back from Australia, where you were MVP of the WNBL. I mean, you were coming back playing at a level that had you ready to dominate, which is why you've been as good as you've been coming in here more than halfway through the season. But I can only imagine the level of frustration just externally. We feel this of oh man, I'd like to have seen this team from the start. But I mean, that had to add a level to it for you, right? Knowing you were playing as well as you ever have.
Yeah, it was definitely frustrating. I felt like I was in a really great rhythm coming off a great season with LA and then going in Australia and doing what I did there. I just felt like I was in a good rhythm and I was ready for, a new opportunity for me here in Atlanta. And then when I hurt myself, it's definitely some frustration and knowing that pretty much this is probably like the first major injury that I've had where I've had to sit out for so long in a season.
Yeah.
And, it's hard coming into a second half of the season, especially where we were at with, having us to have to fight for every win. And then also me trying to, again, get a feel for my teammates, get a feel for the system and, trying to also get my rhythm back and get back to the level that I was playing at and understand that that's going to take time. And I still feel like I'm still trying to get back to who I was last year and in Australia. It's definitely going to take some time still. I feel like I'm getting there, but I know that there's a lot more room for me to get better. But I just think so far, like just being here, it's been phenomenal. Just having the opportunity to play with this team and being grateful and honored that I am back to be playing and being in a special spot for us to get that 8th spot. It's just, like I said, a testament to our team, a testament to, how the resiliency of us and wanting to make sure that we get that last spot.
Oh, here's to it being the last extended time you have away from the game. The game is better with you in it. We've a lot more to get to with Jordin Canada in segment 2 and segment 3. I'm Howard Megdal. You're listening to Locked On Women's Basketball. But first, Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by Game Time, and Game Time offers the opportunity to do more than just buy tickets. It gives you an app that has a 360-degree view of the proceedings, so you can see not only where you're sitting, but everything you'll see from where you're sitting. Game Time offers also all-in pricing, so you're going to see what the fees, everything. Total is upfront, no surprises at checkout. How do you get this? Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And we're back here in segment 2 with Jordin Canada of the Atlanta Dream. Jordin, for you to make that decision in LA Product to come and start a new chapter of your career, that's a brave thing to do. Leave aside all the basketball part of it. That is, to my mind, it really spoke to a belief in self that has been, I think, a center point of your entire career. But I'm wondering, just for you personally, how much making that decision came to among other reasons, to learn from and play with Tanisha Wright.
Yeah, I mean, being from LA and being able to play for your hometown, not a lot of people get to have that opportunity. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to play for LA the last 2 years. I've met some amazing people there. I've had some great teammates. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But I think for me, in terms of my career and where I wanted to go, I think it was a necessity for me to find somewhere where I can be valued and appreciated. And I think Atlanta was, the perfect place for me, to be honest. T and Dan, when I had my free agency meeting with them, I mean, everything that they said, everything that they believed in, I believed in. And, I was just very grateful that I had the opportunity to come here. So like I said, I've just been really grateful and thankful for this opportunity to be at this organization and have everyone welcome me with open arms. And like I said, I was just looking for, a different aspect of my career. I just felt like it was a necessity for me to find something new.
You're seeing consistency in terms of your overall production, whether it's the assists, and you have, I think, 10 in one game, but you are every single game out there, 6, 7, 8 assists. Obviously, you are a person who can score the basketball. We've talked about the fact that, you know, I thought people missed the boat on you going into the draft because of a failure to understand that you were such an effective finisher at the rim. And people get caught up in, you know, what is her height rather than what can she do? And so, end of the day, though, you are there to drive that engine first and foremost, right? I mean, is that sort of the way you think about it, as a point guard first when you look at your role on this team?
Absolutely. I feel like, you know, one of my strengths is being a spark on the defensive end and offensive end, and understanding that, creating that energy for my teammates. And, you know, about the draft, I'm meant to be where I was supposed to be. And I think, you know, Seattle was the best decision for me to go there, and for me to learn from a lot of vets, and a lot of great players on that team, and Jewel and Stewie, Sue, obviously, and even Alicia Clark. I felt like I learned so much from everybody in different aspects of how to be a leader, how to carry myself, how to make that extra effort. And, you know, like I said, I'm supposed to be where I was supposed to be. And, you know, it's gotten me here to have an opportunity to now be that person that has that leadership and that veteranship, and you know, coaching and teaching Haley, and helping her out with her development, and how she sees things and how I see things, and just trying to help her as much as possible.
I mean, there was never any question you were going to be an elite mentor when the opportunity came. I do also wonder, as the first time you had any time off in this league, as you're coming back from injury, did it change the way you may have thought about wanting to get into coaching someday? You talked about, you know, gee, I'm looking for a PD opportunity in the off season on social media. It's a no-brainer, right, to be able to bring you in with your knowledge and expertise. Was that born of, in part, that time on the sideline?
I think it kind of helped, being on the sideline, of me realizing like, okay, yeah, this is something that I really do kind of want to step into. I've always had the thought of wanting to be involved in player development to some capacity. But obviously sitting on the sidelines and seeing the game differently and thinking the game differently, it kind of just like enhanced my interest of wanting to dive into player development, or possibly be an actual coach one day. I still feel like I have so much to learn. So I feel like I'm not there yet in terms of like wanting to really be a coach. But I think in terms of player development, is something that I, you know, like I said, I'm interested in, and hopefully I get the opportunity to do so in a couple years. You never know what the opportunities might bring, but yeah.
I see a lot of WNBA point guards who are among the head coaching ranks now at both the college and the pro level too. So it can be very interesting to see. Yeah, my fearless prediction is that's a matter of when, not if. But to your ability to develop yourself as a player, I think, is part of what has allowed you to thrive in this league. And we talked a lot last year on the show about the work you put in shooting the ball from the perimeter. I want to talk about some real perimeter shots, and that is the half-court shots that you guys are taking at the end of practice. I understand you are currently the leader in making those shots from half-court. Is that true? Can you confirm that?
I don't think I am the leader. I think it's honestly between Ryan and Nia, but Ryan shoots Nia's shots for her. So technically Ryan is the leader of the half court shots. I've made a couple, but definitely Ryan takes the ranks when it comes to that. Yeah.
We do have to talk about Ryan Howard, and everyone should always talk about her, because she is just a player at a level that I don't think people fully appreciate yet. Maybe it's going to take a big playoff run by you guys for people to get there to see her as more than just, this is a good to great player, but this is one of the elite talents in this league. What is like the biggest thing that people don't know about her game that they ought to know about her game that you see every day?
I think Ryan is a leader. I don't think people necessarily see that when she's playing, but she definitely talks to us in practice. She's talking to different players in huddles. She just sees the game differently, and I think her IQ is underrated. I think a lot of people don't think about how smart Ryan is and her decision making. Everybody just sees, she's able to score and create for her own self. But I think her IQ is something that a lot of people probably don't really take into account when it comes to her game. But I think her leadership and her IQ are definitely two things that people need to know about.
1000% agree. All right. Well, we'll keep shouting it from the rooftop. So we have a final segment that we're going to get to, talking about the future and where we go from here. What's ahead for you, Jordin? Back after this, this is the great Jordin Canada here. I'm Howard Megdal talking to you for Locked On Women's Basketball. Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by FanDuel. And look, you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have a little something different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. Maybe you want to see, how did the Giants play without a field goal kicker? Seems like a major problem. Find out. You can watch anywhere with a YouTube TV base plan. Watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game with NFL Sunday Ticket. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com. Download America's #1 sportsbook. Watch what bizarre way the Giants will lose this week. So back here with the great Jordin Canada, talking about her role with the Atlanta Dream, career. Howard Megdal here, Locked On Women's Basketball. And before we get into the serious stuff, where you see yourself over these next few years, I got to ask, because Barb Turner, assistant coach with the Dream, spoke on social media about the fact that you were elite at a talent show, that you were an effective singer. And I just need to know, karaoke night comes, what's your go-to song?
My go-to song for karaoke, it changes every now and then. It used to be Love by Musiq Soulchild, but now I really love Kiana Lede. So I try to pick a song that I like by her, and I'll try to sing it. But if I'm put on the spot, Love by Musiq Soulchild is my go-to. It's always been since I was in high school.
I will just tell you, we will not. It's a cold media room. You don't have musical backup. We won't put you on the spot.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. But hopefully in the near future, right? We'll pre-plan it, right? Maybe you guys make a big run at the WNBA finals. You do that pregame, right? We'll figure that out. But joking aside, right? You signed a deal for 2 years. Now, this league is so in flux right now that it makes sense. No one, with very rare exceptions, I think there are 2 contracts that extend beyond 2025. Makes a lot of sense with the CBA likely to be revisited this offseason. But it is a clear path for you guys in Atlanta to be elite for an extended period of time. As we talked about at the top of the show, simply being healthy would have put you among the very best contenders this year if those numbers manifested over a full season. And now that you're sitting here near the end of season 1 in Atlanta, does it feel like this has been the home you were looking for it to be when you signed on with Dan and Coach T?
I mean, of course, absolutely. I think first and foremost for me, it's just about the organization and how they take care of its players and, staff included and coaches included. And then also it comes down to the teammates and the team and the chemistry and the environment. And, they checked all my boxes. And so, like I said, I was just very grateful and thankful to come here and be here for 2 years, and knowing that we're trying to build something special here, and understand that it's going to take time. Not a lot of things don't really just happen overnight. And like I said, we've been haven't been healthy all season. So who knows what this year could have been. And like I said, we still have an opportunity to make playoffs. And I feel like we're hitting our stride now. We're figuring each other out. We're building that chemistry day by day, and it's starting to show. So who knows what's going to happen in these next few years to come. But I feel like we're in a really, really great direction on trying to build and make this one of the top organizations in the league.
And just related to that, when you think about the quote unquote off season, right? And you've, by virtue of being a veteran in this league, you've really gotten to see the full evolution from where it was you're playing overseas by necessity to a point where you have those choices, you have those options. And again, you have enormous success playing overseas. We talked about winning that MVP in the WNBA just last season. How do you see your off seasons over the next few years? Are you hoping that you do transition more into coaching? Do you hope to continue to play overseas? I'm just wondering, sort of what your preferences are in general.
I usually try to take that year by year just to see how I'm feeling. Honestly, I don't want to, premeditate something and be like, this is what I want to do. I think it really just depends on a year-to-year basis. I know this year I won't be going overseas. I feel like it's best for me to stay here and train and, get my body ready and prepare for next season. And who knows what will happen with opportunities. I may do AU, I may not. But I think this year I've decided not to go overseas. I think it's just best to just let my body rest and, take care of my body and make sure I'm doing the things that I can do to get better for next season. But overall, in the next few years, I really don't know. It's like a year by year thing.
But you know what? And just as a point of personal privilege here for the show, what I love about it is that you have the choice. Bottom line, that's how the game needs to continue to evolve, where players at your level have the choice to be able to do it. So last thing before we go, what is the next box you want to check as an individual player? I know you're always looking at ways to get better. So you're working out this offseason, you're staying here. What is the next skill you want to improve or even add to the arsenal?
Besides being consistent in my shooting, I think getting my body stronger. Honestly, I think my MO is kind of to fall a lot on the floor. And I think for me, I just need to get stronger. Not saying that I'm not already, but I think I just need to build my body in a way that I can withstand physicality and not always falling to the floor. Just being able to stay on my feet. So that's something that I'm really going to emphasize in the off season, is making sure that I am, stronger than I was coming into this season, and making sure my body is healthy. And that's pretty much it.
Really remarkable considering, and again, just to go back to it, you're making 65.5% of your shots at the rim. So already the strength to be able to, I always got to throw in the stats to always see it. Well, listen, Jordin Canada, I've been saying it to you guys for a decade. I'll continue to say it. Don't sleep on Jordin Canada and the type of player she is. Jordin, always great to catch up with you. To our listeners, I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. We'll be back with you tomorrow, as we are 6 days a week. Until then, I'm Howard Megdal, wishing all of you a wonderful day.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.